Hello, everyone. My name is Leila Roberts. I'm director of the North Coast Small Business Development Center, and I also am serving as program chair for the 2022 Redwood Coast Region Economic Development Virtual Summit. Second time we have done this, and we are really excited at the incredible lineup of speakers who have agreed to share their wisdom and their time with us next week. This is a short recording specifically meant to support speakers who would like a little bit of context and guidance to help y'all prepare your presentations for next week. Some of you who already joined our speaker briefs have heard me say this before, but for those who didn't have time to sign up for one of those, I hope that this is going to help you as you prepare your remarks and to prepare for your participation too. So here's the scoop. You are looking at the registration page for the summit itself. And if you want to get there, you can do it in one of two ways. You can use this short link here, bit.ly/growing forward 2022. Or you can use the speaker registration link that our event coordinator, Clara Shook, has provided. And the reason I encourage you to do this is to get an overall sense of how the conference is going to look. First thing you need to know is that this is, again, as I said, the second year in a row that we have run a virtual summit on economic development opportunities and strategies that are affecting what the state of California refers to as the Redwood Coast, and that is Lake County, Mendocino County, Humboldt, and Del Norte and adjacent tribal lands. The structure of the conference is fairly simple. On Thursday, September 22nd, we're going to have a day of what we're calling keynote speakers, everyone from Senator Mike McGuire of District 2 to the director of the California Office of the Small Business Advocate, Tara Lynn Gray, a professor of economics who has some very interesting things to say about economic data and the way we can interpret it to understand our next steps and our opportunities. Dr. Robert Eiler, Caroline Beteta, who is the head of Visit California, and a futurist from Humboldt County called Ken Hammock. That day is going to be punctuated in the middle by some open informal conversation rooms. But it's not really until Thursday or Friday, rather, the second day, that we get to the real interactive portion of the summit. So this is where you come in. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to have 3 2-hour time blocks across the course of the day, separated either by 10-minute breaks or by a lunch break. We're going to start with some welcome and context setting so people know what to expect and why we've organized it the way we have at 8:30 in the morning. And then at 4:30, we're going to end with a rapid synthesis of the stuff that we have heard people discussing that day. Oh, sorry, at 4, and a call to action from Susan Seaman, who was our summit chair. In between that, we're going to have a bunch of breakout sessions that are grouped into 3 sessions or tranches. The first is going to be 5 topics related to what we're calling hard infrastructure. The second is 5 topics related to something we're labeling social infrastructure. And the third is related to emerging and transforming industries. Now, to be clear, these are ways to organize our topics so that folks have a general sense of what to expect as participants. Many of our sessions actually fit in more than one of those groupings. So they're not meant to be mutually exclusive or hard categories. They're just helpful for staying organized. Within each 2-hour time block, for example, for hard infrastructure, we're going to have 5 presentations lasting 15 to 20 minutes each. Some of those presentations are going to involve just one speaker, and we're hoping that the one speaker time blocks will try and limit themselves to 15 minutes if possible. And some will have 2 or 3 speakers, and so we're hoping to give them a little bit of extra, up to 20 minutes or so, so they can get through their remarks. As you're thinking about preparing what you want to say, envision that you're not just looking at a group of folks who are coming to us from the four county and tribal lands, Redwood Coast region, but picture three target audiences. The first would be people who are doing work professionally in economic development, either as their day jobs or because it's an important element of their regular professional life. So, people working for cities and counties, folks working for nonprofits or quasi governmental organizations, folks who are doing workforce development, people like me with the small business development centers or chambers of commerce. You get the idea. The second target audience are business owners, entrepreneurs who are interested in keeping an eye on the economic development opportunities and challenges of the region where they do business so that they can figure out how to adapt and grow. And then the third group are what we're calling emerging leaders, which does not necessarily mean young, but it means individuals who are either on a volunteer basis or in their work, their paid work, finding themselves new to the economic development sphere. And so they're coming to listen and learn and grow, both professionally and personally. Now, again, so if you're thinking about your presentation, I want you to, pay attention to who obviously is going to be in the virtual room listening. Also consider that we're hoping our presenters will all weave together our three summit themes. The first is what can we do to ensure that we are participating in equitable economic, both recovery and development, meaning that people who experience undue barriers to thriving livings, to economic success, either because of an identity group, because of their socioeconomic status, because of their disability status, and other, um, need to we need to be able to talk about the ways in which we are consciously creating an equitable playing field so that everybody can thrive, whether we're talking about farming and housing or offshore wind or anything else. The second is please keep in mind that we're hoping to inspire people to think about how what you're discussing in your presentation might apply to them at home. We are going to encourage folks to participate in a session that is outside of their normal areas of understanding. We want them to slide themselves into a topic that might be new to them or that they've already always been interested in but don't know much about, so that we can spark as much creativity and cross pollination as possible. And then, for obvious reasons, we're also interested in making sure that we're reasonable and appropriate. Our speakers are identifying the connection between their topic and our climate resilient future. So, if you consider that sort of framing as help in preparing your session, you probably have some talking points or even a PowerPoint that you have already used many times. Don't go overboard trying to prepare. We would love for you to just talk about what you're enthusiastic about and what you know really well in a way that invites people to your table. This is your chance also to issue a call to action for people who might want to learn more or do more based on what they've heard you say. So, no big deal. Don't get fancy. I hope that you come and tell us about what you're interested in and excited about in a way that sparks our interest as well for, say, 15 or 20 minutes. Now, speakers are going to go in these three tranches: hard infrastructure, social infrastructure, and emerging and transforming industries. 5 presentations back to back. And then at the end of the 5 presentations, say for one of these, hard infrastructure, breakout rooms are going to appear on your screen in Zoom. And we would like you to click on the breakout room that relates to your topic. We're going to encourage participants to do the same and slide into your virtual room, where there will be a facilitator, and we hope also a note taker, who is going to be prepared to support 30 minutes of discussion around the topic that you have just presented on, Um, and it's going to start with 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes of Q&A, clarifying questions. In order to have a conversation about this, I need to know more about this thing that you said, or I was confused by, or whatever it happens to be that folks want to get a little bit of clarity on. But that's going to be purely Q&A with you, the subject matter expert. The remaining 20 minutes are going to involve a structured discussion with a question prepared in advance that is going to invite people to reflect on how what they've heard applies to them, their lives, and their work, and to share what they're excited about or curious about, or how they envision what you discussed, maybe working in their community or in their sector, especially if it's different from yours. At the end of that, you will have been there for 2 hours as a speaker. And if you need to go at that point, of course, and thank you very much for your volunteer service. However, as a speaker, you do have a free ticket to the entire conference. And if you're willing, we warmly encourage you to participate in the other sessions, to listen yourself as a participant and hear what's going on. And especially if you're willing to come back at the end of the day between 4 and 4:30 and join in, listen into the synthesis and call to action, that would be fantastic. If you can't do that, just fine. So that's essentially the framing that I've been offering our speakers as they ask how to prepare for their presentations. Pull together a 15 or 20-minute presentation on your topic. You can have a PowerPoint, you can flash up pictures, or you can just talk, whatever you prefer. Please be prepared to be there for the entire 5 speaker block, because not everything will flow perfectly. That's just the way the world works. And so we might end up needing to rearrange who speaks when, etc. And then please stay for the 30-minute discussion so that you can A, answer questions from excited folks, but also B, maybe hear how people are processing what you've said. So I hope that's useful. Thank you for listening. And I'm really excited for a very juicy, very rich 2022 Economic Summit. I encourage you to go to this bit.ly/growing forward 2022 registration page and just take a look at who's going to be speaking, what they're going to be saying, who's adjacent to your presentation, who's saying stuff later on in the day or earlier in the day that might relate to yours. And I hope that you will be interested and excited in participating yourself, and that you will share this link with people that you want to have at the table listening to you when you talk. There are scholarship opportunities if anybody's concerned about payment. Okay, see you next week. Thank you so much.